Hello, everyone, and welcome yet again to another episode of the Artelize podcast. I'm absolutely delighted to have another amazing guest, and I can't wait to let you hear what he has to say. As a matter of fact, you already heard a little bit about him in our panel, Rethinking Audience Engagement, that we hosted in January. We have with us today Bart van der Rost, Secretary General of the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra of Liège. Welcome, Bart.
Hello, Paola. Nice to be once again with you.
It's amazing to have you. Okay, so you're a truly dynamic, I would say, cultural manager and entrepreneur with over 15 years of leadership experience in the arts. As the Secretary General at the Philharmonic Orchestra of Liège, you have handled everything from finances to operations for this orchestra, which is one of the Europe's most important one. So you're not just about management, though. You are a musician at heart, right? A trombonist,
Yeah,
if I'm correct. And you were also deeply involved in the creative and performing arts sector, helping organizations expand their reach and increase their funding. Yeah, you hold a master degree in music and management in those incredible to pronounce, very, very renowned, Flemish schools, I should say. Can you say those
yeah.
names so that I
I
learn?
have a master in music from the Lemmens Institute in Leuven and a master in business administration of the Vlerik School in Ghent.
As if I hadn't said that. But you are also the brain behind Neo Scores, a groundbreaking digital sheet music marketplace. And you were the driving force behind the successful merger and international acclaim of Opera Ballet Vlaanderen as its CEO. And you, under your leadership, they were named as the best opera company in 2019,
Mhm.
which is amazing. So now that we know the formalities, please tell us a little bit about you, the human behind Bart van der Ross. So something personal that you would like to share with us today, which is a bit
Oh
exclusive.
wow! Yeah, first of all, thank you for all the accolades. It seems like I'm a fantastic manager, but it's always been teamwork, of course, and I was always part of a bigger organization. And I always say this to whoever asks me. This is one of, I think, the main things you should do when working in the arts. Whenever you take a leadership position, it's not about you. It's about the importance of the function that you represent. And I'm happily there to fill the seat, but it's always in service of the arts. But anyway, yeah, thank you for having me. I think what you already mentioned it partially, and I think what I one thing about myself is I always am in doubt to say whether I am a musician, I'm a manager, or entrepreneur. And especially, I think during COVID, this was I played trombone during my study years. I almost immediately stopped afterwards because I felt that I was an okay trombonist. I think I was quite good, but I was not the best. And I noticed that there was a need for a translator between the people on stage and the people in the hall and the people funding it all. And so I think this position, but that by definition means that I'm not part of one group. I like to be with musicians, but I also like to manage stuff, and I also like to be sure that within politics and within commercial organization I'm heard. So that's, I think, the thing you should know about me. I'm never at my place. I'm always trying to make connections and to be somewhere else. So that's perhaps a good introduction.
Absolutely. So you're sort of uncategorizable kind of
As
person, but that's
as I,
amazing.
as I like
It
it.
means you have superpowers.
Yeah. Sometimes it feels like and I need superpowers indeed. Yeah.
Yeah, who
Yeah.
doesn't, right? But I mean, still, it's impressive, and I also must say that now we have been talking for a while, and I love absolutely your personality. You're so bubbly and so full of enthusiasm and positive, and this is so important, especially when applied in our industry, because we do face a lot of challenges, especially right now after the COVID
Mhm.
pandemic. let's dive right into our first topic, and it's going to be I will take back a little bit the topic from our panel, the audience
Hmm.
engagement. Why? Because you told us and you blew everybody away with this amazing success story of the Royal Orchestra of Liège, because despite the great worldwide crisis that we experienced because of COVID, still you basically stood out as an incredibly successful case anyway. So you didn't lose audience at all. And now you were just telling me you're even struggling because you have so much audience. You have problems now handling
Yeah.
probably yeah, too much. So please tell us a little bit what happened and what you think were the elements, the key elements that sort of granted your success.
Yeah, I think the Liège case is indeed in a way unique, and I think it has to do with three things. I think first of all, the political powers in Wallonia, in the French-speaking part of Belgium, and especially around the Liège Orchestra, have been very consistent and very, let's say, supportive of the arts. The last 10 to 15 to 20 years, there has been a stable and predictable flow of subsidies. So that means that the organization, and it's also before my time, it has always been able to pronounce long-term goals, to work on the basics on the product, and that's I think a first element. So there's a fertile ground where the organization can build them. The second thing I think, which is really important in Liège, is that the orchestra has every tool needed to be successful in their hands. So we own our own hall. That means that everything that we do in our hall, we can think about, does this serve our purpose? Is this something which fulfills our needs? And how can we make sure that we are part of this local community around us? And I think that is something which you can only do if you have this stable starting position. Second thing is, of course, the people at in Liège. It's a fantastic orchestra with great players who give their 100% every single time. They are really stimulated, motivated to be at their best on an artistic level. And I think this is related to the administrative team. I'm now there I think in my third or fourth year. So the success of the orchestra is certainly not mine alone. It's this team. Daniel Weissman was there before me, now with Alin Sanjayo. So we really have a collective of professionals working on this project. And I think the third thing, and that's something which has is always also related to the place in the world that we take in. Liège is an amazing city, but it's a little bit eccentric. So Brussels is the capital of Belgium. Liège is one of the bigger cities like Antwerp or Ghent and so on. But in all, where we are at, the audiences that we serve and the communities that we serve, we are in a quite, let's say, not luxurious, but in a good starting point. Within the city of Liège, there are a lot of other things to do, but the competition that we face is still doable. And so those three elements: stability on the funding level, a fantastic team performing at its very best, and then thirdly, an audience which is close by and which we can nurture and which we have all the tools to do so. That makes a really good triangle to actually perform and to be really well. And as I said earlier, indeed, we have a hall of I think 1,100 seats. We fill it on average 2 times a week. And we have a huge, luxurious problem right now that we actually lack good tickets to be sold. Last weekend we had an amazing series of concerts. We had over 1,600 people on the waiting list. So that's fantastic. It's even then more important to engage with your audience. So I think engagement with audience is always important when it goes bad, but certainly now when it goes really well, it's crucial that you keep on communicating with your audience, that you know your audience, and that the tonality of how you communicate is also, I think, of big importance.
So absolutely, it's like a good restaurant. Sometimes I mean, I'm Italian, and I've experienced that restaurants when they start they're so good and amazing, and then when they become popular, the quality tend to go down. And instead, that's
Yeah.
exactly when you need to keep it up, right?
Yeah, and absolutely. It's also with the orchestra. I think our musicians, they have to work really hard. They have to work week after week after week. So that's also something you have to take into account. One of the luxuries that we don't have anymore is that we can allow ourselves to perform a little bit less. Because yeah, we will always be there in direct connection with 1,100 people in the hall, sometimes two, three, four times a week. So every concert needs to be as good as the last one, and it's that continuous quality, and also this kind of predictability and trust of our audience that we will delight in them, we will surprise them, but we will never ever deceive them. I think that's one of the key things, which is the success of Liège. And once again, it's certainly not due to me, or the team that is right there right now. This is a result of, let's say, 15 to 20 years of this stable environment. And yeah, whenever other orchestras are in peril or in danger, I think this is one of the main things they can state to the people funding them. Funding needs to be like entrepreneurs and family offices. This needs to be a long-term commitment and stable. Not only the only source of funding. Of course, there is an obligation for the organization to have different sources of revenue. But I think in our world in classical music, subsidies are a important, if not main part of the funding structure, and it needs to be predictable.
Absolutely. I have a question actually about this beautiful commitment and passion and also high standard from your musicians. So they are totally into it, but are they also, do they have a role, or has this role changed and evolved directly with audience engagement? Like, do you have them involved
Yeah,
when
yeah,
it comes exactly what you were
yeah, yeah.
saying? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I think what our musicians do really well, of course, they are in a sense traditional musicians. They are formed to perform in a symphony context. That's what they're trained for, and that's what they're really good at. But if you look at their schedule, I think we do around, let's say, 200 to 250 public activities a year, out of which around 80 to 120 are related to audience engagement or education. So we do an awful lot of work in schools, with children. Whenever people are not able to come to the hall, we go to them. So we play in really sometimes horrible situations in schools, in sport halls with no heating whatsoever. But I think it's crucial that we take this role, and that's always something I say. Whenever there is a problem with audience engagement of selling tickets, people start working on the product. I honestly believe there is nothing wrong with the product. There is only something wrong with the way to the product, or there is something to be fixed right there. And in our offering, and that's what we with our musicians, we tend to give them a huge voice in also how we program. So everything which is chamber music, everything which is we give them soloist opportunities. We give them opportunities to work with audiences. We actually sometimes even free people from playing in the orchestra to go to a school, to go to an outreach project whatsoever. I think this is part of how we see this. And of course, the programming in the big lines is part of the artistic direction and with the music director. But musicians do have their say, and we tend to inform them often and early on this process. And I think this is really important to avoid something which I think we already discussed earlier. It's something which I always try to battle. It's the dancing monkey syndrome. We typically musicians that we get in are the best of the best. Those are the people that have won competitions already from 8, 9, 10 years old. So we tend to audition for, let's say, a solo flute. We get 50, 60 people in, and let's say the first 10 or 15 are amazing. And then we take the best of those amazing people already. But then we say, as of now, you are a dancing monkey. You have to perform your trick all over and over and over again. And that's for some people numbing. And I think that's the role that we as an orchestra have, that within your career of 30, 40 years of a musician, we offer you, of course, the opportunity to play the best music with the best conductor, best soloist, best colleagues, but also something on the side, because reducing an artist to a reproduction machine, I think that's a recipe for disaster. And sadly, this is sometimes the case in other organizations. And I think especially in Liège, I think the way our musicians are involved in the programming and in the way they are listened to, I think this is also a part of six. And once again, this is a 10, 15, 20 years result that we have right now. And it's luxurious, it's amazing, but it's every day when I come into the office, I think like, this is what is this? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little miracle,
Yeah.
literally. And I understand that actually your fellow artists, musicians, are part of this team. So everybody is part of the team at
I,
Royal
I
Orchestra of
always say
Liège.
there's also part of the marketing team. They are really crucial in selling our message to everybody. And every concert that we do, you can easily recognize, okay, there's a family of the first violin. There is the friends of the music school of our trombone player is here. So they really also are a part in this marketing procedure and selling machine.
Absolutely. This is such a key point that I don't think everybody realizes. And you know that at Artelize, we absolutely share all these views because this is so important when you are able to create such a structure of this kind, then to be able to also to support it, of course, with the right technology
Mhm.
and the right tools. That's what Artelize is of course, on this mission. But I mean, it ideally it would be nice to have that goal set extremely clear. So the creation of an entity and a whole ecosystem that is involving everybody, and everybody is involved in the goals, in
Mhm.
achieving those goals, and with their enthusiasm, their personal power
Yeah,
in their circle,
yeah.
right?
If
So they can
we have like
attract.
110 musicians or something like that, perhaps a little bit less, like 100. But if all of them sell 10 tickets a season, yeah, that's easy. Your first hall is filled by musicians only, and so you need to really need to take into account. It also gives them a sense of ownership and a sense of pride to be able to say, hey, I work in that orchestra, and if you come, then I will make sure that I try to make the evening as beautiful as possible as I can.
Absolutely. So, do you have special strategies when it comes to incentivizing, like this, to really make sure that those kind of relationships are continuous, are strengthened, are nurtured? What is it that you do?
What I do think we are able to do so in our marketing team, and especially in the people that have a direct relation to the audience, there we have a lot of knowledge in the system. So in the CRM, which we know, yeah, this person has bought, I don't know, 10 tickets last season, and now he's coming back for a subscription. His wife is named such and such. So we have a lot of hands-on data in the system, but we also have a fantastically skilled staff in our ticket sales office. So this is something I think which is hugely important. Systems are extremely important, and structuring them and clean data. And so, nothing against systems, but I think it's the human touch that makes all the difference. And although we only sell around 20 to 30% of our tickets now offline in our ticket shops or elsewhere, we felt it was really important to keep it that way. And to also this line between online and offline communication, we like to blur it as much as possible, because the human touch point and the way people are treated, and it's in small things, just simply by scanning the ticket, seeing on the scanner, this is Mr. Bart van der Rost and he has been here last week, that the person who scans your ticket say, hi Bart, good that you are back. It's such a simple thing. It doesn't cost you a dime, but it brings so much engagement from your audience. I think that's one thing. And the second thing that we do is, um, typically we see ticket sales volume. We see this. We have a buyer, and then somebody buys for multiple people. And what we are now looking at is to have the whole information line available. Let's say 3-4 years ago, we knew who was buying, but we didn't know who was coming. And so that's something we try to do right now, because quite often we see like people mixing. I buy tickets for you this time, next time you buy from me, and we need to understand how the internal relations are within the audience as well. That's, I think, the next step that we would like to see. And I think the last thing that we are now achieving, and which I would like to mention, is that we are trusted as a gatekeeper to this fantastic world of symphonic music, that more often than not, people don't even know what they're buying tickets for. They just say it's in Liège, it's in that amazing concert hall with the amazing acoustics. I will be well accommodated. So whatever it is, I will. Next, we have last weekend we had a fantastic concert with a DJ and with lights and so like innovative in a sense, uh, filled to the brim. Next weekend we have like the most boring program that you can imagine: a Beethoven overture, a Mozart symphony, and a concerto. I don't even know what it is, but it's also filled to the brim. And so you see, it doesn't in a way that it doesn't matter as well, because the audiences that we have, they are plenty and they come for whatever we offer.
From what you're saying, it seems really like there is so much trust in what you do. Exactly. So your reputation is so high, and that people, and also I remember you telling me people just want to come,
Yeah,
even, just to interact with us, because they feel like we're waiting for them, which is
yeah, and
amazing. It's a
and
beautiful
but we
feeling.
literally do that. We with the management as well. We try to be there every concert, just being present. Hi, how are you? How did you find the last concert? And so on and so on and so on. And I think that's crucial. And also, it's not a game that we play. I am honestly interested in what my audience has to say. And also I think we as an organization, we are.
Why is that, Bart? I think it's important that you say, technically also you're interested, of course, because you can have, I guess, important information also about, from them directly.
Because I think what we do is, I strongly believe in what we do. I really do, and this is not marketing or not sales. It's something I think it's you become a better person by going to symphony or concerts. It's really something which the luxury or the what it has brought to me personally. I really would like to transfer it to other people. This said, our audience, yeah, that's the people who are actually buying the tickets. Yeah, they need to be listened to. I don't think we need to change because of our audience. I think it's really important what we offer them has been thought through by professionals during a long period, people who understand how it works, and also people who understand how to stay relevant in what we are, in a way, a living museum. Let's say if you look at what we play, let's say around 70 to 80% of what we play are dead composers. So it's in a way it's finished. It's something which has been is at least a part of our past, and I think that's what we need to do. That's why we are a living museum. We over generations we have to offer this again and again and again, and and that's why I say there is nothing wrong with the product. We have to rethink how we sell it to people, how we market it to people, and there you have to understand what people are asking for. I give you one example. We had this what we call dimanche en famille, so it's Sundays with families. Sorry, Saturdays with families. So that was the original concept. Our idea was we have a prestige concert on Friday with the typical overtures, concerto, break, and then symphony. On Saturday we do this again, but only the symphony, only the like a 1 hour concert. But we saw a drop on Saturdays in audience engagement, and then yeah, we simply asked the audience, "Why are you not coming? Is it because of the product? Is it because of?" And the simplest answer that could be was answered, "Yeah, it's just because if you do it on Saturday, I have to do my groceries shopping. I have to bring my kid to the ballet or to the football. So I simply lack the time to come on Saturday. We switched to Sunday, and then again. So we didn't touch the product. It, we just listened to the audience and said, "Hey guys, how are you evaluating this as a product?" And I think that's what you should do. And once again, and if people don't like it, yeah, also you need to be there, because yeah, we are not. I think we are qualified professionals and that we know rather well, but you need to listen. You need to understand why something isn't liked or else isn't like that much. Um,
It sounds like it's really, like a relationship.
it's
Like you don't want to change, but you want to stay yourself, but at the same time you want to give and listen and do all
it's
the thing.
love is a verb. You have to work for it, and I
Yes.
think it's also it's dating as well, because you need to. It's every time new
Yes.
people are coming in. And I think one of the things everybody once in a while has the codes of classical music. We have people who have been a subscriber with us for 45 years or even 50 years. But we also have in the same hall people who are coming in for the first time. And so, yeah, you just need to be there. You need to have your badge and to say, yeah, if like in a good supermarket, if you need help, I'm here. That's why what you need to do. And I think our help is very diverse. It can be very practical, or where to hang my coat, or where can I have a beer. To yeah, please explain to me, why are you programming Beethoven after 250 or 300 years? I can answer that question because I think it's relevant to do so. But that's the thing. Second thing, that's also audience. Let's say, listen to your audience. We found out that we don't do introductions. So we say either the introduction is none, you just come in and you listen to what we play, or we give you a link on beforehand to our program. And that's something we will change next year, and that we are still debating on how to do it. We found out with conversations to our audience that actually people are interested in two things. Either they want to learn about the music that is played and why is it structured and so, or they want to know who is playing. And so we are now trying to see if we can, let's say, play a concert and afterwards designate 1, 2, 3, 4 musicians. Hey guys, now you go back into the hall and explain to people what you're doing. And it's simple stuff like trumpet players. How does a trumpet actually work? Some people want to know. They want to understand the engineering aspect of trumpet playing. Other people want to understand why Beethoven's Fifth Symphony is played more than the Fourth, or what is the relationship from Monteverdi to Wagner. And we need to be that's our role. We are, as we say, we are the gatekeepers. Then we also need to understand and explain how the gates work, how to open them, and where the entries are. And I think then we come to what we discussed earlier. You don't need to understand a single note or word or whatever from music, because music is enjoyable. And on this very basic first level, that's already 80% of the experience. Once you're touched by a melody, by a harmony whatsoever, you are converted into the church of classical, and you can never go back. It's for the rest of your life, you have this weakness whenever you hear like a beautiful melody or whatever. What I like about classical music is this layered thing. And that's also how I explained it. I have nothing against entertainment. I like every once in a while my Taylor Swift or whatever, but it's still a sort of a first layer experience. And I think with classical music, or with let's say constructed music or composed music as well, there are so many layers. There is the whole musicological layer. How is a melody structured? What is harmony? How do instruments play together? What is the difficulty here? So there is this whole, let's say, architectural part of the music. Once you get in, there are infinite layers of complexity or added information that you can take into account to enjoy, but you don't need them. And that's, I think, what we also sell to people that come in, have a great night, and if you're interested, of course, I can talk for hours about this subject.
Yeah, it's a little bit to reassure people, because after all, the simple truth is that music is still there after centuries. So that's, first of all,
Yeah,
it doesn't need to be, further approved.
yeah,
But you're right, there is a little bit this, especially towards classical music, this fear sometimes that, oh no, that's too complicated, I would need to prepare myself. And that's so I thank you for what you said, because it is so important. I mean, you just need to bring yourself, and just to be free to enjoy, willing to enjoy what you're going to
and I
experience.
think our role is to manage the expectations, and to explain to somebody. If but yeah, here again, if you I don't know about you, but I clearly remember when I fell in love with classical music, it was with Holster Planets, which is like a big chunk chunk of music. Other people have this through Mozart, or other people have this through John Williams, or have this through whatever. So that's also something you need to explain. This is it's an acquired taste. The hard part is getting them to your concert hall. Once they're in the concert hall, I'm pretty sure that the quality that our musician brings, it's so good that people will be convinced afterwards.
Yeah, and it seems like by having this approach, you're really lowering the pressure on all this huge things. It's just, guys, it doesn't matter. It's nothing is a problem. You have all the time you need. We're here, and that's what we want to do. We just want to spend time with you and have you
And
enjoying whatever you
and
want.
also that's something I say. If I'm honest about our programming, what I like personally best is the really classical stuff, like getting into your costume, have a dinner on beforehand, coming in at the concert hall at 8 o'clock in the evening, have a beautiful overture, concerto, break, and symphony. That's for me still a fantastic night out. I love it. I love it.
That's a
Yeah,
dream.
but I fully understand that for some other people, yeah, the entry needs to be different. That's normal, and so that's I have to say with the DJ last weekend. Yeah, this is typically something which I say I personally I don't like it that much, but if I see how it touches people, how people are crying in the hall, like yeah, this is exactly why I'm here for, and I will defend this with my life. Even though on a personal level, I'm looking way much forward to next week where we do Mozart's 40th Symphony. But yeah, it,
But that shows exactly what I was saying at the beginning. The fact that you have an open
yeah,
heart. I mean, at the end of the day, you're doing this because you have a big
yeah,
passion,
yeah,
you believe in it, you love people, you love music. I think we really need that so much, especially when we're talking
yeah,
artistry and
absolutely.
performing
Yeah,
arts.
and that's once again, if you translate it to marketing, there are several channels, and not every channel is suitable for everybody. So, and that's how you need to consider. Never change your product, but frequently change your channels. I think that's and then I will not say you're good to go, but at least this is something which I think it's fantastic to see that we're finally catching up with like female composers, and so on and so on, and also that we take into account the diverse cultures where everybody comes from. I think it's really, really, really finally it's been high time. This set, yeah, there is nothing wrong with what we are doing already for 400 years. So it's for me, it's like it's very logical that we take this next step now, and we need to take a critical review of our history again. That's something you should always do. But I like that. But let's just either explain what has gone wrong in the past and fix it, or yeah, let's dive into the history again. And you see what I last week I had a recording sent to me, new songs by Alma Mahler and Fanny Schumann, which I never heard. I was like, wow, this is yet again a new perspective on history, and it only helps you to understand better. And I think, yeah. So, and if people start doubting the product, yeah, I should honestly say, don't do it. It is fantastic. It is authentic. There is nothing more powerful than 80, 90 people analog without any addition to it, performing this music, and you will always touch one or two or three or 10 or 20 or 30 souls in the hall. Yeah,
Absolutely. It is truly
yeah,
universal. And I mean, this proves it.
mm,
So it's really our job, it feels like, to face the problems that our industry is facing right now, is really to find the ways. Exactly. So and that's why I'm so glad you came on our podcast, because I think this is amazing just to hear about it. This is uplifting and such a beautiful experience in itself. So thank you again so much. I will then ask you the last question. That before going to the last question, I wanted to ask one extra aspect regarding working with a team. You mentioned yourself that your team is a bit special because it has been functioning very, very well since a long time. So we're talking decades, as I
mm,
understand. But there must have been changes, obviously,
yeah.
over the years. So, what is the key ingredient or the magic
Wow.
behind a team that works consistently so well? What do you think?
Yeah, I think yeah, I'm very happy and proud to work with professionals, people who really understand what they're doing. That I think it's one thing. Um, I have to say that within the organization, yeah, everybody is of course interested in the product, but the people are mainly there because they're good at what they do. Our head of marketing as well is somebody with an interest in the arts, but is mainly a marketeer, of course. And I think that's something what I think also the fact that I'm now there is it proves a point. We hire for attitude and we train for skills. So it's really who are you and what you bring to the table. Of course, you need the basic knowledge in the field of interest that you're working in, but then we say, yeah, we can almost everything else you need, we can learn by going on the job. I think what I also like about what we do is because we have this more or less stability on the funding part, we can try to innovate, we can experiment, and there I think I see a really good let's say equilibrium between being a big organization but also questioning yourself and trying to innovate. And we do this, I think, rightly so, and this is also in the team. It's okay to fail, it's okay to try, as long as you take ownership of it. And secondly, what we try to do, we try to separate what we innovate with from what we do. So we have this idea of a sandbox where you can play around, but if you break something, nothing worse. Everything keeps on continuing. I think that's that. And we try to make a meaningful environment for everybody. If you lack skills, we train you for it. If you want to have a new direction, we try to find something for you. And we really try to do this as a whole, and we take ownership as a whole. It's not magical, but it's indeed a rarity. I have to admit. Yeah.
That's amazing. I want to come and work with you guys.
We have several opportunities.
But I must say, we're also having a blast at Artelize. So, as you know, because that's why also we got in touch. And that's absolutely all these kind of values that we totally believe in and share as well. And that's now the moment for the last topic of this beautiful episode. Exactly. So we talked about a lot of things, the human touch, the core, the product, and how to handle it. Fantastic. But I also know you are a data guy, and your team is highly trained, and they work exactly also based on data. So they probably are very good at integrating, finding the right data, cleaning it, and then analyzing it and applying it. So, as you know, the mission of Artelize is to create this audience engagement technical infrastructure where you can do all these things in one place and hopefully quicker than you used to be. Like, for example, you were mentioning we used to not know the customer journey. So basically, what happened from the moment they bought a ticket to the moment they became basically highly engaged or maybe even recurrent subscriber, because patterns can vary, and that is so true. I mean, sometimes it's my friend buying some tickets for me, some other times it's me. You never know what dynamics is behind that, and to know that it's not an intrusion, as you were saying before, in the privacy, but it's really important, I would say, to understand those dynamics so that you can intervene. And this is exactly something that Artelize is going to reveal on the 22nd of May. We're going to really reveal to the world how in practice you can do that from one infrastructure, so from one place. But I would like to know from you first, when you think about a technological infrastructure for audience engagement, do you have are you able to imagine it? Because a lot of people that I talk to, they're not even able to imagine that. They cannot figure it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, what I think technology is the tool is really important to get to results, but you have to know actually on beforehand what you want. And I think you mentioned data cleaning. I think this is one of my pet peeves. Yeah, I really it's like what's it called, garbage in, garbage out, something like what developers talk about. I really think as a modern day marketer in classical music and so you need to understand how the technology works and what is important on this level as well. So the cleanliness and the completeness of the data, I think is really crucial. But you need to understand what you're going. If you just let's say that you're an orchestra with trouble again to the audience, and all of a sudden a bag of money drops from heaven and you don't have any money issues at all, then you should not start certainly with investing in systems. You should start firstly in understanding yourself. But what do I want to get out of it? Because if I look at Liège, it's hard work every day, and the touch points that we have are so diverse. So even in our luxurious situation, we actually can't explain why we are successful, other than what we think is happening there. I think, yeah, understand yourself and educate yourself. I think that's the beauty of today. it's 2024. Be interested in the technicality of stuff, and also understand how data works. I think that's really something. It's a very difficult question that you asked me there, because it has to start with product knowledge, with yeah, what is good for what type of audience, but it's a double thing. And I think what Artelize does really well, it takes away a little bit of the pain, I think, in understanding the technicality of stuff. The way I understand it is that at least this part of the journey has been solved. You mentioned customer journeys. You need to have customer journeys, understanding as well the limitations that you have with customer journeys. A customer journey is a fictional, theoretical way of how an audience member. Uh, Let me give you one more example from Liège. We have this fantastic series which is called Music Factory. We are a student city, and if you're under 27, I think it's every first Wednesday of the month. We do a concert without announcing the program. It's 1 hour. The only thing that you know is it will tackle one element of classical music, be it how to write a love melody, what is sonata form, whatever. We treat a plethora of subjects. What we see is that people who are studying in the city are coming in with as main argument, hey, it's free. Secondly, there are cocktails afterwards. So that's no pressure whatsoever. What we do see is 4, 5, 6 years after, people coming back, almost all of them saying, I come back because I had such an enjoyable experience while I was studying here. So now I want to come back to understand what the real thing is. And this is something which we understood, that the lifetime value of a customer is not measured in weeks or months. It's sometimes measured in years. And as we are talking about classical music, which is quite often an acquired taste, yeah, you need to allow yourself to work on a relationship 4, 5, 6 years before it becomes interesting. And then,
That's true.
yeah, it's
That's true, isn't it?
it's totally like that. And then quite often you are launched for a lifetime. And
Yeah, that's true.
I think,
That, but you're absolutely correct. I mean, ultimately, what we want to do here is the heavy lifting,
yeah,
so that you can concentrate on the metrics that really matters, and on those patterns that, of course, you should always keep your openness, because it's an evolving ecosystem, as also our Donna Collins always, mentioned for the panel, and also in
yeah,
the other episode, he said exactly this is a constantly evolving industry sector. So you must always have this mind openness, also in the when it comes to data, right,
mm,
and in this kind of more technical approach. So absolutely, but it's difficult to figure out, right, to imagine. And so Artelize will help you guys stop trying to imagine,
fantastic.
but will materialize this entity.
Mm,
But yeah, jokes aside, we really believe that exactly to flourish, as you hopefully we would love to see more arts organization flourish as you are doing. And of course, you were mentioning at the beginning, you have also very nice conditions and context, but you have been working really hard, because I know for sure that maybe you're in a best ideal situation, but if you don't know
yeah,
what to
but
do, it's
they
just
influence one another. If your product is good, then your ecosystem becomes better, and if the ecosystem becomes better, so it's they are all working on one another. That's for sure. It's also for me not a surprise that it's this famous quote by Warren Buffett: "If the water recedes, you see you swimming naked." I think COVID has also shown who is actually understanding how what the product is and who is struggling. The people who were struggling in COVID, I wish them a speedy recovery, of course, but it shows something. You have forgotten what it's all about, and you see the people who are thriving in COVID times, which were challenging times for all of us, especially where your product is live experiencing it. But you see, those who are thriving, those were the ones that already understood on beforehand. And I think what COVID has shown is the power of what we have as an industry, and also a weakness at the same time. Um, yeah,
absolutely, absolutely very powerful message. I would almost say that that's a closure, but no. I will still ask you to leave us with one last Bart van der Rost quote, or encouragement. I really love this energy that you have, and that's exactly would love to share with our listeners, because it's amazing. It should always be like that, especially when we're talking about performing arts.
Yeah, well, I think we talked a lot about relationships. I would like to end with that as well. With my wife, we have this concept of the emotional bank account, and it's something which we do. Both of us, we are working really hard, and instead of getting angry towards one another, we say, "Yeah, our emotional bank account is getting low. We need to do something as a couple. Yeah, no, have a weekend or whatever." And I think working in the arts, what I quite often see with people who are in a bad situation, whatever, they lose the love of why they were there in the first place. And I think this concept is applicable also to what we do. I tend, if I have a bad day, which of course you have, and like if your accountant does something wrong or whatever, you have a problem, whatever. I always say to myself, remember why you're here. It's really literally above my desk. Start with the why from Simon Sinek, and I go into the hall and I allow myself to listen to 1 hour, or even on a really bad day, I stay for the whole rehearsal, because then I understand. Yeah, I know why I'm here. I'm here to defend what is going on there. I'm here to defend this nuanced thing that we offer. I'm here to defend this history that we're trying to give pass on to the next generations. But that's something which I like to end with. You have to never lose your love for what you're doing. And if you lose your love for what you're doing, yeah, understandable. Sometimes lives go that way. Never lose that hope. I think that's and in the end, then you will at the end of your life you will can at least say, yeah, at least I've tried, and I've even if you only convince one or two persons to fall in love with classical music, then I think you have succeeded in what you need to be doing.
Absolutely. So we can happily say that there is hope for the performing arts
Absolutely.
and for the relationships.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
That's amazing. I think that's a beautiful message. So thank you so much, Bart. It's amazing to have you. I always also personally love to talk to you because it pumps me up, and we need that. And so we will, of course, keep in touch. And for our listeners, we're going to have you regularly, of course. But again, thank you so much. All the best with your next season. I know you're preparing, wrapping up, preparing new, always working. And I'll see you and all and everybody else at the webinar to revealing the audience infrastructure, because exactly, let's stop imagining. Let's try to let's work
Absolutely.
concretely. Thank you so much, Bart.
Thank you for having me.